So now we're going over the CBA review, and we went over this today in class, but I wanted to post it online in case you were looking at it in the afternoon and you got confused. So categorize the following numbers as real, whole, integers, rational, and irrational numbers. So you can go back to your notebooks and look at those as to how they're categorized. So first thing I want to do is look at natural numbers. Which one down here is natural numbers? Remember, our natural numbers are our counting numbers, what you would learn in kindergarten. So the only one that would fit into that category is 17. So I'm just going to put 17 right above natural numbers. That's just the easiest way for me to write it down. So whole numbers is next. Remember, whole numbers is all the natural numbers plus 0. So we happen to have 0 down here. So we're going to put 0 above whole numbers. Integers. Integers are all the natural numbers plus 0 plus their opposites. So the only ones out of the ones we have left that would fit into that category is -4. Now rational numbers. Remember, rational numbers are any number that can be written as a ratio. And so we're going to look down here, and it's also including negative numbers. So all numbers with decimals, with fractions that don't divide out to a whole number, those fall under rational numbers. So we have 1.82, 1/5, and -1.9. Now, irrational numbers are all numbers that do not terminate, that their decimals continue to repeat. And pi is the big rational number that we always think of, and that's the only one we happen to have left, and that's a good thing because it is in fact irrational. So number 2, if Amy made cookies using 1/4 cup of sugar for the first batch and 0.7 cups for the second batch, how much sugar did she use for both batches? So we're going to add our sugar together. So we're going to add 1/4 cup and 0.7 cups. I need to put them in either both fractions or both decimals. And since if we put them in both fractions, it would have to get a common denominator. For this problem, it's easiest to make them both decimals. Well, 1/4 is one of those decimals that we know. Think money. It's 25 cents. 1/4 of a dollar is 25 cents. Whenever you're adding decimals, be sure to line up your decimal place. So she uses 0.95 cups of sugar. Okay, now when we get down to number 3, we're just evaluating this expression. Evaluating means to simplify. What does it mean? So a lot of my students, whenever they see a problem like this, it really intimidates them. Just remember your order of operations, PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You do your parentheses first, your exponents second, multiply and divide next, and add and subtract. So on this particular one, we have one multiplication here, we have add and subtract here. So we're going to start. We don't have any parentheses, but we do have multiplication. So negative 3.5 times 5 15, 16, 17 is negative 17.5. So all we did is we did this portion of our problem. My add and subtract is next, and I'm going to add the 5.75 with negative 3 1/4. Well, I know that's 3.25. 1/4 is 0.25. So I subtract, line up my decimals, So I get 250. Remember rules of adding and subtracting? It's a subtraction problem, and if the signs are different, and the larger of the signs gets to keep its sign. So our 5.75 was our positive, so our answer is positive. So what we have over here, let's come back to our original problem. Oh, I just saw a mistake I made. When I multiplied negative times a positive, I didn't bring my negative sign down. So what I have left over here is I have negative 17.5 plus 250 over negative 5. So now I'm going to combine these two. So I have a 17.5 negative and a 250. Our rules of adding and subtracting integers, if the signs are different, it's a subtraction problem, and the larger of the two gets to keep its sign. Well, I know 17.5 is the larger one, so I don't want to forget like I did with my multiplication. I'm going to go ahead and put my negative down in my answer so I don't forget. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 17 minus 2 is 5. Bring down your decimal. 1 minus 0 is 1. So this becomes negative 15. I have negative 15 over negative 5. When that is an improper fraction, we're going to reduce. That's like dividing negative 15 and negative 5, and when we're dividing by two negatives, that becomes a positive, so our answer is positive 3. So now we're going to go down to David buying a TV for $250 with a sales tax of 8.5%. What is the total price of the TV? So we're going to take the cost of the TV, convert our 8.5% to 0.085. Remember, we have to move our decimal 2 places to the left. Then we're just going to multiply. 5 times 0 is 0, 25, 12, 40, 14, 15, 20. So, did they spend $21,250 on sales tax? No, we did not count our decimal places, and we have 1, 2, 3 of them. So we're going to move our decimal place back 3. They actually spent $21.25. We're going to take on our sales tax. So we're going to add it back to the original cost of the TV. So 250 plus 21.25. So we have 5217. Remember to always line up your decimals when you're adding and subtracting decimals. So now we're going down to Kelly makes $45,000, number 5, a year. What percent of tax will, this should say she, pay, and how much tax will that be? So remember our chart on our financial paid packet where we have our tax bracket. So she's filing single, so we're going to go over here to this single filers column. We're going to look at that. Oh, I forgot that. And we're going to go, she makes 60, I'm sorry, what does it say? She makes 45, so we have to find where she makes 45. And it's between 36,901 and 89,350. We go over and see what she's paying. She's paying 25% income tax. So we take her income, which is 45,000. We multiply it by 0.25, 25%. 10, 0, 0, 0, 10, 9, we have 2 decimal places, 1, 2. She is paying $11,250 in tax. So 25% was the percentage that she was paying, and she paying $11,250. Okay, let's move on to the back. Calculate the net worth of Mrs. Smith, who has $42,150 in assets and $75,331 in liabilities. So first of all, let's write how you calculate net worth. Net worth equals all your assets, anything you have of value that you own, subtracted by your liabilities. So this is anything that you owe, okay? We've given you a list of the different things. One thing you need to remember, asset is anything owned, like anything that says deposit, own, car, liability, tax, credit card debt, loan, borrowed, it's liabilities. So when we look at this equation, her assets are 42,125. We're going to subtract from her liabilities, and we see 75, this is keep change if you want to, our 75,531 is larger than the 42,125, so we know that her net worth is going to be negative. So whenever you are adding or subtracting integers with a different sign, it's a subtraction problem. So, and the larger sign, the larger of the two gets to keep its sign. In this case, it's negative. So, Mrs. Smith's net worth is $33,406. Okay, so now we're going to go down to solving equations, and I'm going to solve this one. Always, the very first thing we want to do is isolate our variable, which in this case is, our variable is 5x. I'm going to put my center line down there to remind me that I'm doing a recording for school. I'll have to get back with you in a minute. So I draw my center line. I'm going to add, they subtracted, so my zero pair to negative 12 is positive 12. I do that to both sides, and so those zero each other out. All I have left over there is 5x equals 15. Think about opposite operations. We want to isolate our x. We're going to divide both sides by 5. Remember, any number over itself is our big 1. So all we have left on that side is x, and equals 15 divided by 3 is 3. So solving that equation, x equals 3. So number 8, we're going to solve this inequality and graph it. Remember our opposite operations. They divided. Whenever you have a number in the denominator, they divided, we're going to multiply. and I'll explain why in a minute. We're actually multiplying by a negative number, so we're going to flip our sign. I always circle my sign when I know I have to flip it, so that I remember when I'm writing it down to flip it when I get to that part. So, the reason we multiply, because this becomes, let me come over here, negative 2 over 1, and this is like 1 over negative 2. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Any number over itself is 1. So that's why when there's a number in the denominator, we multiply by that same number, because these become 1. So all we have left on this side is 9x minus 3. I would have forgotten. I have to flip my sign. Negative 21. I'm sorry. Negative 21 times negative 2 is positive 42. Negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, now that I got rid of that, I want to isolate my variable. They subtracted 3. I'm going to add 3. I like to put my center line down to remind me if I do it to one side of the equation, I have to do it to the other. Negative 3 and positive 3 are 0 pairs, so they go away. On that side, all I have left is 9x is less than 42 plus 3 is 45. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 9, and I have x is less than equal to 5. So how do I graph that? I'm just going to do my little number line. I'm going to put 5. Ask yourself if your circle is open or closed. It's including 5, the equal to, so it's closed, and it goes to the left. Your arrow goes to the left. Okay, so now we have evaluate the value of Bryson's investment after investing $325 for 5 days with a simple interest rate of 6%. So we're assuming that this interest is added daily, okay? So we have 325 times 0.06, 5, so 6 times 5 is 30, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I'm just multiplying. I have 2 numbers after the decimal. I move my decimal 2 places that way. So remember, with simple interest, you only get interest on the principal. So what we earn here does not add back in to our principal of $325. So for 1 day, we earn $19.50. We wanted to know how much it is for 5 days. Well, it's just, I just multiply by 5, put my decimals. So in 5 days, simple interest, $97.50. We add that back into our original principal. Okay, and we have $422.50 is what you earned with simple interest, accumulating daily for 5 days. So our last problems, calculate the interest. This one's going to be a little bit more involved. And this accumulates daily. So we have $325 for 5 days with a compound interest rate of 3%. So my first day, just to keep myself straight, I number my days. So I have 325 times 0.3 is my interest. And I get $9.75 interest. I'm going to add it to my principal, which is 325. So now my new principal is $334.75. So day 2, instead of my principal being 325, it's now 334.75. I'm going to calculate my 3%. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, today I earned $10.04. I'm going to add that back in to my principal I started with today. So my new principal is now, for day 3, $344.79. I'm going to multiply that by my 3%. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Today I earned $10.34. I'm going to add it to my principal that I started with today. Okay, so I have $355.13 now to start day 4. And one, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Today I earned $10.65. Add it back to my principal I started with this morning. So at the beginning of day 5, I have $365.78 times my 3%. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. I earned $10.97 today. Add it to my principal I started with. And after 5 days, compound interest at 3%, I have $378.75. I hope this clarifies everything. And if you still have questions when you come to tutoring, Wednesday morning I have duty, so Miss Spain's available. Thursday morning we're both available.